our next session with Miss Amritha M George, and the title of the session will be Speed in Innovation by Lean Startup Model in Large Enterprises. So just a brief info about Miss Amritha. She is having 18 years experience in IT leadership, management, competency development, program and project management, quality and process consulting, and software engineering. She is expertise in agile methodologies, lean product development, Scrum, and DevOps. She also worked in UK and interfaced with team in Finland, Switzerland, USA in multicultural, multilingual, and multinational people groups. Thank you.
Thank you. So my topic is about business agility. So just before you start with your technical agility, how you code, before that you need to decide what does your customer want. So that is the part which I am dealing with, not on the technical agility as it is. So how many of you are working in startups? Any of you? Wow, we have a good number. And any of you working in R&D centers, idea generation, IP, patents? So this presentation is, I would say, a marriage of a startup and a R&D. So you might know when you are working in an R&D organization, the kind of innovation cycle which happens, it usually takes 2 to 3 years. And by the time you have an idea, you create an IP, you go for patents, first filings, and by the time it gets into the hands of the customer, it will be around 2 to 3 years. So even our R&D center also, we have this multi-year innovation cycles. But the current market need is you have to go faster. So your technology is changing every 18 months. Your customer wants everything in every 2 months or 3 months. So how do you do that? So obviously you have to apply agility in your R&D. And what kind of innovations can you do if you apply agile principles into it? And that is a topic. And so coming to the innovation part of it. So whenever we are starting with something, we all know that what roles we are playing. We are playing a role of agile coach or a scrum master or a product owner or a senior management. And what we do, that we know. But how we do all these things, maybe we know a bit of it because we'll be focusing on the customer, focusing on the priorities and all that. And the core question is why we do what we are doing. Because that is a main driver for you, because unless you understand why we do what we do, we'll not be able to achieve anything. So even our brain is structured like this. So you have an outer brain which tells us what we do, which is our eyes, its senses and all that. And when you go inside your brain, it is your limbic brain which tells you why we do what we do. So unless the initiative or the innovation or digitalization, whatever transformation you are trying to do, it doesn't mirror to the why, it doesn't work out. So coming to the overview of my presentation. So as I said, we are an R&D center, we have multi-year innovation cycles. And with a new digital transformation and the customer demands and digitalization, new AI, virtual reality and all that. So what we are trying to do is that can we make our innovation faster through agility? So the problems what we are trying to solve is time to market. So how we can get in the market at the faster pace. Innovation effectiveness. Innovation effectiveness is like how an idea which is from your brain, how it gets into the market, how much time will it take? Does it take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? So, and also the core business value through innovation. What is innovation you are trying to achieve and what is the business value you are going to give through that innovation. So the main thing is that what is the lead time when you are giving out an innovation or a new idea into the market, what is the lead time you require? And the first part, if you see, there are two aspects to it. The upper level of that is are we working on the right ideas, and the lower level is the DevOps. Because you might have a POC, you might have which is evaluating to the customer, but the execution part comes in the DevOps, and the Agile comes in between. So when you're working in many of these R&D centers, you would have seen the life cycle. If you have worked for many 10, 15 years, So in 2000s, maybe you had the boom. And later on, you got a lot of work to India for many of the software companies, software services companies. And after that, what happened? We had a high hype cycle. I was earlier with Infosys, so you can see that Infosys grown from a 5,000 people company to a 150,000 people company. So the kind of growth it has, and then later on, what happens is that it comes down. So if you see the stock market prices for these companies, you can see that it is not at that level where it was earlier. So why it is happening? Because you have to reinvent based on the digital market, and you can't always apply the same principles and assume that you will get it. And what is the main core difference when it happened to these companies is that earlier we were working on a cost-based model. So it's like our billing rates. We have so many engineers, headcount. Based on the headcount, you will get so much billing. Now that is being changed to value. What is the value you're going to deliver, and can you deliver it faster? So that's a question being asked. And in many cases, our IT companies are trying to adapt to the situation, and some are adapting, some are not. So the question for us also, even for ABB, I work in the R&D center for ABB. The question for us also is same. We started as a maintenance and testing center, and later on, when you are coming to this all the digital areas, we need to reinvent, otherwise we'll go down. So what we did was that, just to give a context, we did a portfolio analysis of what all projects we are doing. So we are around 1,000 plus R&D engineers we have in the organization, and we are around 100 projects we are running in this organization. So we did a portfolio analysis, and it's based on Jeffrey Moore's model. So what we found was that we are heavy on the product enhancement and maintenance side, which is on the right side. Maybe 70% is that side, and maybe 30% is on the new product development. And what we found was that there are people, aspirations are there, they want to go into the new product development, but they are not able to, because the thing is that you need to have the requirements, you need to have the ideas to get into that model. So then what we did was we looked outside our organization. Bangalore has a 20th rank in the startup world, the startup ecosystem. We have so many 800 plus startups working in Bangalore. So the idea came into our mind was that why can't we start an internal startup? So the thing is that there are a lot of qualified people in our organization. There are a lot of ideas, but maybe something is missing. What is that? So what we did was that we with this portfolio analysis, we got support from the top management, and we got funding for a seed funding for the startups. So it's like we can do some of the pilots or prototypes based on this funding. So funding could be for a HoloLens or for a cloud license. So it's a small thing, but what we gave the opportunity to everyone in the organization, they can come up with a business case, pitch it to the management team, and get funding and try to do that. And I would agree with myself, because many of the times I have thought that, okay, I have one idea which could be done, but I don't have any way how to do it. So there could be a problem with funding, there could be a problem with management approval, and how do you approach my senior management. So this model, what we tried was that we created an ecosystem where anyone can apply and anyone gets a fair chance for their ideas. So this was a business case we had defined. So it is like we defined a baseline. Like it's based on the lean startup principles. So you have defined a baseline, then pivot it. So the baseline was that it has to be aligned to the new technologies, emerging technologies, and the time which we have defined is like it should be demoable to the customer within 3 months, and also the innovation potential of the idea. So when you see many of these situations, what usually happens is that especially in our R&D situation, we'll say 3 months. They'll say it is impossible. How will you do it in 3 months? And specifically, they'll be doing it as a stretch assignment. And what we tell them is, okay, what you can do in 3 months, you show us. So it could be that you show a small technical feasibility or a proof of concept that your idea works. then that is enough. And based on that, you iterate, you pitch it to your internal customers as well as external customers, and then you iterate, and then finally you come up with a product or a solution. So another thing was that we are all engineers and we think very technically. So our solutions may be very technically oriented, but we will not ask our customers, what is your need? What do you actually want? So that aspect was also missing in our case. So what we introduced was something design thinking. I think many of us would have been already familiar with this. So in the design thinking, it's mainly about customer engagement. So you might think earlier our problem statements was like, how do I apply AI to implement the solution? So that is not a problem statement. You are interested in AI, so you want to implement AI. So that is not a problem solution. So the problem solution could be that how do the customer engage with our customer complaint system so that they get a good experience. So that could be a problem statement. So that way we had sessions and with the help of external vendors on design thinking, we called all our senior R&D engineers, 20 years they have been working with R&D. We called all of them and we had 2-day session on that. And we worked on mainly on these problem statements. And what they said was that, okay, after this two-day session, they said, it changed our way of thinking. Maybe next time when we do a next iteration planning, we'll apply this because we have to ask everyone, not only our internal team, how to implement this. So the 3 steps what we had was that we have what we insist on is minimum viable product, and you need to have business case which can be done by anyone as long as it is good, feasible, and also adds business value to customer. It gets approved. Then you go through the cycle of 3 months. It's time boxed, and then you validate your POCs with your end customers. So it's a typical product development life cycle. So we are R&D center, so we have this MVP 1 which gets validated, MVP N which gets validated, and finally you have a minimum marketable product. And when you have that minimum marketable product, you can actually add it to your product roadmap and then scale it up. So that is idea. So as a result of this, so we have been running this program for almost a year now. As a result of this, what we could find is these are if you see EP, PG, IARM, these are different divisions of ABB. So from ABB, what we got with this business cases, we are around 25 to 30 business cases till now, till July. And from these business cases, around 10 prototypes were approved, and again 10 were approved, and then they got into the product backlog. Or we have something called lighthouse projects, which is like across ABB. So the one major change what we could see is mainly on the culture of the organization. So like people are more motivated. They say that, okay, I have an idea. So how do I do that? So I tell you, create the business case. And they come up with the business case, and then they themselves try it out once before they come to us itself, so that they know that, okay, this will work. And if you get more budgets, then we can scale it up. We can do this. We can go to multiple customers, understanding the market. So at least what I could see was that our engineers are more business oriented. And these are the topics which we got: IoT solutions, connectivity, augmented reality. And we ourselves were surprised because we didn't know that there is so much potential in our organization. And coming back to our portfolio analysis, what we could see was that our new product development itself increased because of number of pilots. Because unless you have your own pilots, your own ideas, you can't scale up it to a new product development, because you can't expect other locations to give their ideas to us for development. It's from our own ideas it should develop. So from that scenario, from compared to the last year to this year, we are around 30% increase in our new product development. Then the next steps, like it's an R&D journey. So now we are like, okay, we are at least 50% of our organization is working on new things. So that is a good thing. So now what is the next step? And digital is always about solutions. How do you provide solutions to the customer? So combining these ideas, can we create one package, one solution, customizable or configurable to different customers? So that is the next idea which is coming up, and hopefully we should be able to do that. And coming to the key takeaways from what I could find from this past 1 year, what I've been working. Like earlier, we used to think that only a set of people could do innovation. It was limited to only a group of core R&D principal engineers, or it could be the senior technical managers who could do innovation. But what we understood was that everyone could do innovation, and we could get better ideas from junior folks rather than the senior folks. So that is one key learning for us. And the next thing is that every project is a business project. It's not an IT project. So every time you do a project, you have to be aware of what the business wants. Otherwise, you can see that only 30% of the projects actually win. The 70% fail. Why it is so? Because by the time you understand what the business wants, it would have been too late. And the third point is, of course, the failing fast. You need to iterate. You need to get feedback from the customer very fast. And your processes should be aligned to that. And when you are doing something, if it's like your organization is very hierarchical and you are trying to do something agile, then it might be too late. So failing fast is very important. Getting feedback is very important. And the fourth point is legacy-free reinvention. So you have been doing something for a long time. It has been working fine. So that is a major preventive factor for innovation. So whenever you say something to somebody like, okay, we should improve, we should change, what usually people say is that it's working fine. What is there to improve? So once you are in that complacency mode, then we'll not be able to achieve anything. And the fifth point is speed. So even if you're doing everything, if you're late, then so the thing is that in our prototype model itself, I ask people, okay, are you able to do it in 3 months? Then only we'll approve, because otherwise no point in doing it. So those are the key takeaways, at least for me. So if you have any questions, yes. Yes. So POC is generally a stretch assignment, and what we do is that we get the buy-in from our internal stakeholders who are sitting in different locations. If they are the business owners, you also tell them that, see, this is your product line. We are adding a new feature to it which could actually have more value to it, and get their buy-in. So whenever when these employees are coming for funding, we also tell them you have to work hand in hand with them, because that is how your idea is going to be implemented in the product. So that way we get the buy-in from the stakeholders. Yes. No, we don't have a formal approval circle, because I don't want to create overheads there. But anyway, these people, our employees are always in touch with the stakeholders. So during their daily discussions itself, they tell them that this is what we do. This is not nothing hidden what we are working on. And in some cases, obviously, we have some submarine projects with that. But mostly what we do is that we tell them that this is what you're doing, and they're supportive. Because they also they also have the customer pressures, and their customers want something new, which we could provide. Yes. So once a POC gets approved, then obviously in some cases we provide the billing effort also, and we ask people if they don't have enough effort to put into that POC, we ask people to get the external vendor support. So we have so many companies in Bangalore who supply resources. So based on that, it's for 2 or 3 months. It's a temporary thing, but the people has to lead that pilot, and they can get support from somewhere else also to do it. And in some cases, we form intra teams, like from different teams, we'll get one person who's slightly free. Then we form these teams also.
So what's the idea?
Yes. Yeah.
And then that thing will continue like a startup
Yes.
until it gets deliveries and something.
Yes. So once that is done, then it could be that because we are all engineers and our stakeholders are also mostly from the technical line. Once they see something, they will have much more to it, add to it also. So that becomes a project. So once that POC is done, then we don't fund projects because projects it's too lengthy and we don't have it. More at the POC level. Pardon? Yes. 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 So the thing is that every year there is a budget cycle, if you know that. And when we do that budget cycle itself, we'll think of what all new things we can take it up. Our organization is also growing. So then when we do that analysis, I was involved in that analysis. So I told them that if that product is going to the classic phase or it is going to the maintenance phase, don't take up that new product to your portfolio. Take up something new where you have more potential to grow. So that was a guideline given to all the teams and they follow that guideline. So that's why you see that difference. Because if you see our budget cycle, the budget is growing, but where you are investing that budget, it should be in the growth phase. So that's the idea. So earlier when we started last year, it was like 30% growth and 70% maintenance. Now it is like tilted to this, you could say almost equal, 40-60 it was become. Yeah.
The general challenge for POC is resource shortage.
Yes.
All the projects gets into the
Yeah.
resources are into project shortage.
Yes.
So how do you how do you solve this?
So I would say there is one more thing is this POCs is aligned to our business goals itself. So it is like we have annual business goals and we have some variable pay linked to it. So these kind of things, it happens because that is also a motivation for people to actually work on it. Because otherwise, if it's not aligned to the top management goals, then it may not work out.
You say startup.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, well, you go to the entrepreneur here and they come out. How do you
So yeah. So in that case, I would say there are limitations. You can't go into something which is not at all aligned to your company's vision. So whatever the people we have, their competencies are aligned to our company's technology areas. So we take up those things. And I would say that there are some disruptive ideas coming up, but mostly it is related to what they are doing and it aligns with the company's goals. If there is something else, then we'll have to take it up outside, so it can't be the internal innovation. No, we give a time box. Like we give the estimate, you have to finish it within this time period, and we give the funding as well. So then it is up to them how they want to manage it. We give them ideas. So we tell them that okay, you can take resources from outside. How the infrastructure we can share from something what we have. So we give them that support, but the ultimate ownership is with the POCs, pilot owners.
One last question.
So that's the next step. So now what we are thinking is that we have so many solutions in different new areas. So now we are planning to go to the direct customers like Reliance or Asian Paints and show them this portfolio and understand their need. Because what happens is that we say we have all these things, do you want it? So that's not the way we should do. So we have to apply design thinking. Yes. Yes. Now we are doing it internally. So we are showing it to our demos, to our global technology team and global product managers, so that they can take it up globally also to different locations. Yes, not in the sales. So that's the next step.
If anyone wants more questions, they can connect in the break time. Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was a great session.